Gloria, the flower delivery will only be tomorrow. Can I leave early today? My daughter is sick. There won't be many customers tonight. It's Monday after all. Hope was a responsible and diligent worker. Besides, she was alone with her child, and Gloria allowed her to leave early without questioning. Once the worker left, the flower shop owner began taking care of the potted plants. She loved fussing over indoor flowers. Her home was almost like a greenhouse. It was, of course, an exaggeration, and her husband called their apartment that name. Gloria was delighted and warm towards the flowers. While wiping the leaves off the monsteras, she began to remember the days when her husband had given her the salon. Back then, 2 years ago, he realized that his wife needed a satisfying job to uplift her spirits. He noticed that she became withdrawn and sad, and felt that if he didn't help her, she could experience prolonged depression. Therefore, he helped her to start a flower store. One day, Gloria's husband and son went to their countryside cottage, and she planned to join them after work on Friday. Gloria was rushing. She dreamed of tucking her son in, reading him a bedtime story, and when he fell asleep, she and her husband would have a romantic evening. Champagne and snacks were on the back seat of her small car. She was already turning onto the road leading to the village, when suddenly there was a loud bang and her tire burst. Gloria tried calling her husband, but there was no connection. Brock was out of range, which often happened in the summer cottage, since it was located deep in the forest and far from the road. Initially, Gloria had planned to walk, but upon noticing a light in the window of the house on her way, she decided to seek help and warmth there, especially since her clothes were unsuitable for a long time outside in autumn. Looking through the window, she saw a little girl on the bed. She was crying and huddled against the puppy. The child was all alone, and something trembled in Gloria's heart. She decided to go in. The door was unlocked, and the girl immediately called for her mother when she heard someone enter. As it turned out, the little girl's mother had left a day ago, and she was all alone with the puppy. It was cold in the house, and the girl, named Molly, had no one else in her life except her mother, who often left her alone. Suddenly, an SMS arrived that her husband was online, and Gloria immediately called him to explain the situation. She could not leave Molly alone in such a cold house, as it was unclear when her mother would return. She invited Molly to her own summer house, where she could be warm and have something to eat. Gloria promised to bring Molly back as soon as her mother reappeared, offering to leave a note to notify her. Molly agreed, but only if they could take the puppy with them. While having dinner in the warm house, the little girl fell asleep right at the table, so Brock carried her to bed, and the puppy curled up at her foot. In the morning, Brock and Gloria woke up early to decide about their little guest. The woman went to Molly's house and found out that her mother hadn't returned yet, but she was able to speak with the neighbours, who said that Molly's mother had a wealthy man a long time ago. When he discovered that she was pregnant, he threw her out of his house. The woman returned to the village and started hanging out and drinking, often leaving Molly alone. Molly's mother did not come home for a couple of days. During this time, the girl stayed at Gloria's house and became friends with Gloria and Brock's son. They all felt like Molly had always been with them. She was sweet, well-mannered, and clever beyond her years, but very unhappy. For the past few years, Gloria had been deeply upset that she couldn't have more children besides Tom. The spouses had always dreamed of having at least 2 or 3 children, but Gloria's health did not allow for it. Molly's time spent in a cold house was not in vain, as she ended up getting sick. The home treatment was ineffective, and to take the child to the doctors, her documents were needed. Gloria returned to the girl's house, and finally found the insane mother, whose appearance was quite impressive after a few days of partying. Brock offered her to go with Molly to the doctor, but the woman refused, saying that she did not need her daughter and that her personal life was ruined because of her. At the appointment, the doctor found out about Molly's situation and called child welfare. Soon her mother was deprived of her rights, and Molly ended up in an orphanage. But less than a month later, parents were found for Molly, and they were Gloria and Brock. Now a year has passed since Gloria's and her family's lives changed. From the window of her shop, Gloria saw Brock's car pull up with Molly and Tom jumping out of it. "Molly, hurry up and get ready. Daddy is taking us to the pizzeria." Tom took first place in the school Olympiad today. It turns out that my little brother is the smartest in the class. "Let's celebrate it," said Molly, rushing into Gloria's arms. Not one in the family even remembered anymore that Molly was not their biological child, and that she could have simply frozen in an empty, cold house, abandoned by her mother.